and she ends up sacrificing herself at the end. It's all a ruse.
It's a love story.
It's a love triangle.
It's literally like a love,
Yeah.
like the fucking, not even the B plot, like the two A plots.
Yeah.
And it's fucking a love story.
I like the depths they went to too with the sexuality and her like writhing and orgasming over this fucking rotting thing. Jordan Peterson talks about this, women's like fantasies with Monster. There's like so many stories like that, like Twilight and Beauty and the Beast and werewolves. Women are attracted to monsters, and maybe possibly because they want like a strong creature to protect their young. You don't want like a weak male figure if someone breaks into your house in the middle of the night to harm your children, you know. We think that like a good person isn't a monster, but really a good person can be a monster but has the monster under control. If someone comes into my house at night and I have kids and I'm incapable of being a monster, then that is like
what are you gonna do?
The most flawed I can be as a dad. You have to be a monster and then have that monster under control, and women like that.
That's
to be a monster.
That's beautiful. I'll put that in my Tinder bio. Okay?
There's a whole like slew of like,
oh man, now we are neighbors.
we are now neighbors. It's funny, the first original one, 1922, he's literally like living across the street, and there's all these scenes like they look over and he's just at the window like looking at him like a fucking monster. Oh, there he is right there.
You just close the curtain.
Oh, he's gone.
Honey, the weird man's fucking staring at us. Oh, don't mind him.
One thing I've noticed about Robert Eggers is I feel like his stories start a lot quicker than a lot of like traditional Hollywood movies. They go through all the tropes of is it that, is it this, what's happening, and I feel like they beat around the bush a lot more. Like I remember somebody commenting on The Witch, like a normal Hollywood movie would spend like the first, hour of the movie going, is there a witch? Are they paranoid? But The Witch, it just like, it cuts to her, she's grinding up the baby, rubbing the baby all over her. This is just like, I feel like in the first like 30 minutes, like, there he fucking is.
Yeah, well, so normal movies, you'd almost call it like a type of gaslighting, right? You're gaslighting the audience. And, I guess a more sort of, a better term is their mystery, creating mystery and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And it's interesting with these movies, especially like it is a horror movie, but it's not horror in that sort of sense. It's more sort of horror in the concept. Right?
Well, yeah, like when you say it's a horror, people think of modern day horrors, but what it really is like The Witch is a New England folktale, or The Lighthouse is like a 17th century, like that was based on folktales from that era. This is based on Nosferatu, the original 1922 German expressionistic film. It's like, it's pulling from something older, and I'm just so used to that formula, just slowly, like, and then we need to go through this and this. Like, you spend an hour going through bullshit, and then the movie starts. Whereas this is just fucking like, in the first like 5 seconds, Lily Rose Depp, who's fucking incredible, the main actress, the way she convulses her body and her acting, she's Johnny Depp's daughter. I thought at the beginning, like when I first seen the movie, maybe she was overacting, but I think that theatrical, like, works. And then, like, there are moments, obviously, where it's just like...
Yeah.
and she's, like, convulsing and shit. But yeah, like, the first 5 seconds, he, like, comes through her window and, like, grabs her by the throat and, like...
Yeah, well, it's The Exorcist, right?
Yeah.
It's a sort of... it definitely is like... If you weren't immersed in the movie, you could go, oh, yeah, this is a bit silly. But it's not, and this is the point, right? When you sort of remove all the mystery, and you sort of go, this is what we're doing.
Yeah.
Right? And if you immerse yourself into it, and it's the concept, right? It's what is it like for this to be happening to people.
Yeah.
Right? Not what...
Is it that? Is it that? It's like, it's this.
It's not the movie, right? You're not thinking I guess when they're making it, they're not thinking, oh, how does this come across as a movie?
Yeah.
Right. Like how do we present this as horror and make it horrifying? It's already horrifying.
Yeah.
The concept itself is horrifying.
Yeah.
And that was one of the things that I was looking forward to in a vampire movie, vampire movie.
Yeah.
Right? Old school Dracula. It's the concept itself is terrifying. What is it like to be sort of at the mercy of like a force of nature? It's a curse.
Yeah, it's unstoppable. It's coming. It's drawn to her, and the plague is coming, and it's just all in fucking motion.
Yeah,
it's fucking great. The ramp up of tension and suspense towards the end is fucking crazy.
You know what's funny? What's funny is this. What movie this reminded me of was fucking The Mummy.
Yeah, true.
Imitate.
Yeah,
right. Almost fucking beat for beat in a good way.
Yeah,
I love that movie.
Oh yeah. I was a kid in 1999. It's schlock, but it was the best schlock for a 9-year-old boy. Yeah. Oh my gosh.
It's it's the curse, right? The sort of otherworldly force that's imposing itself on you. You're caught up in it.
Yeah.
Right? And I love the sort of this movie in particular out of the rest of his catalogue is kind of like transition the movie. Right? How to do really interesting transitions.
Yeah.
It's sort of when he's being drawn to the castle, right? And he's going through that whole thing, and it goes from night to night, day, a little bit of day, and then back to
and
night.
It's all like schizophrenic, and like chopped up, dreamlike, and you're feeling his like weird paranoia and what is real and what's happening, and just like long unbroken takes, right? That's a norm, but like within that, the camera will like have everyone framed like and blocked a certain way to represent a certain thing, and then the take will keep on going and the camera will pan around and then they'll be blocked in like a completely different position. He was talking in this interview about the dolly operator, like moving the camera around, being just as much an actor as the actors, and then like you have people like removing walls so the camera can like move through a wall and shit, and those long unbroken takes too, like not just like the technical ability of them, because he's obviously improving as a filmmaker, but like that immerses you more as well, because that's how we see the world. Shit don't cut reverse shot, it's like those long takes. And plus there was so many moments in this movie where the camera was on them and then it would just like pan around, and it was so frightening because like you couldn't see anything other than what was happening. You're just waiting for the jump scare or something. It happened like again and
there
again.
was no jump scare. They kind of were. It did have sort of the leavings of
there
like
were a couple
horror.
like but it earned them through like atmosphere and the world building and all the sets and the costumes.
Yeah, so the way the camera movements, you're sort of moving through 3D space, which is a lot. You kind of sometimes you lose that feeling with a lot of movies, right? And we were exploring the space, and it's almost dizzying. Right? And that's the sort of disorientation of the characters and what they're going through. So you sort of like pan around them, or like the opening shot where she's walking out on the balcony, and you pan. And she's still walking forwards, but you sort of have a different type of momentum as it transitions to the outside on the balcony. So you're facing her, and you're coming around as she's moving. It's fascinating, and it really gives that sense of disorientation and dreamlike, and sort of they're experiencing something that's foreign.
The unknown.
The unknown.
I noticed too, like, a lot of the focus. I feel like movies these days, everything's just in fucking focus. You look at an Avengers movie and like everything, all the background characters, all the foreground characters are all in focus. I don't know whether because it's shot analog on actual film or it's the lenses or whatever they're doing, but I noticed like so many times where like there'd be a conversation happening and like one character's in the foreground in focus, and then the other character has like lines and lines of dialogue, they're just out of focus. And that's how our eyes work as well. Like, I'm looking at you right now and you don't realize it, but all the shit to the periphery is out of focus.
Yeah,
and then I look over there, now that's in focus, and you're out of focus.
Depth of field.
Yeah. Our eyes are like target centric, and it's like so finite. Like, you know when someone's looking at you in the eyes. It's completely different to when they're looking at you in the nose. Not everything's in focus, so that's just another naturalistic element that like makes you more immersed or makes it feel more natural. Also, the lighting. There are so many shots where it's not lit like a traditional Hollywood movie. They did this in The Lighthouse too. Like, there would be one light source and it's a lantern on the table, and I think it's that, or the fact that it's analog in film as well, but just the way the light like spills out. There are so many shots, it was just like, oh my god, this is so fucking beautiful. And so foreign from like a traditional Hollywood movie where like everything's just like bright.
Yeah, well, yeah. You're lighting the set, right? It's I watched The Descent. Have you seen that? It's a very good movie.
What's it about?
They go down into they're cave diving, spelunking,
I don't
right?
think I've seen that.
And there's fucking monsters down there.
Yeah.
And it's horrifying. It's so good, really claustrophobic and stuff. But one thing that's funny is that they're in, and just as a tangent, they were talking about the characters. Oh yeah, it's pitch black down there, like pitch black.
Yeah.
There is no light.
Yeah.
But so we have a scene with our main character, their light's gone out, they've cracked their lantern or whatever, and there's lighting because otherwise you wouldn't be able to fucking see anything. And you wouldn't see something like that in this. There is. It's exactly like that, right? It's you shouldn't just light for the sense of for the sake of seeing something, right? If that does a disservice to the current situation they're in. Though I can see why they would need to do that. It's a sort of fine balance. But you're absolutely. I think in this movie he used fog really effectively, fog and smoke. So there were two scenes that really stuck out to me. One in the tavern, in the inn in fucking Transylvania.
It's like the actual firelight. Like a traditional movie would have like all your overheads and the fire's just there. Like where the actual light source is the fire and the candles.
And a couple of candles and some lanterns and stuff.
And it just spills out.
And it's like it's smoky and so it's sort of, like blooms. And then
blooms, that's the word. It blooms out.
And when he's walking up the stairs following fucking Count, I can't remember what it is. Olaf, right? and the pillars, you got the pillars as you walk into the fireplace, and it's like hazy and smoky. And it was just fucking beautiful.
It's inherently beautiful.
But you know what? Even though it's like a horrifying movie, it actually felt really cozy. In a weird way, for me, right? Like all the sets and the way that it's claustrophobic, but in like a sort of almost comfortable way, especially with the fireplace in the castle, right?
That's fair.
Before you sort of figure out before he figures out what's happening, right? It's sort of comfy. It's and that's kind of like disarming, right? You know, it's these places are lived in, and you know, I could walk into this place right now, and you'd be immersed in it. That's fair. You can almost smell the inn.
For sure.
Right.
So we have Nicholas Hoult who plays Thomas here, and he gets his proposition by like his real estate, like I don't know, some guy above him. He works in like a real estate agent. I gotta give a shout out to the guy. His name was Hernock. The guy's name is Simon McBurney.
Was he in Alien 3? I feel like
He might be.
I feel like I recognise him from somewhere.
Ding yes or no Alien 3 up here. But we'll get back to fucking Thomas and his journey. But the guy, the real estate agent who goes fucking mad. His performance is fucking
so good.
incredible. That scene where like they go into the asylum, the bird scene, and like he has these big prolonged like Shakespearean speeches, and they're in all the fucking films. Especially
they're all
the
like
Lighthouse.
that. They're all like that.
Willem Dafoe is just like Shakespeareing it up.
Come hither, you know, I feel love for you, though I have been taken by him.
Almost breaking the fourth wall, almost like addressing the audience. Robert Eggers' father was like a professor of Shakespeare.
That'll do it.
His mother was like a theatre fucking producer and all. So he grew up with Shakespeare and all that. But yeah, like they go into the asylum, and his performance is just incredible.
There's shit on the wall.
Yeah, bites the head off the fucking bed. So Thomas, right, he gets this fucking journey. He needs to go to fucking wherever, Romania.
Transylvania.
Yeah, and get his fucking, he's getting a bonus, all this jazz, and he gets to like the little, Transylvanian town. It's like a long unbroken shot of all these musicians, like they all crowd around him. There's like a guy
steal his horse, pickpocket him.
Fucking great. And then there's this moment where he's walking and it's like a crossroads and it's all ethereal and the snow's falling, like the carriage
The
rocks
fog,
up.
the lit up fog at one end, where it's sort of like it's almost that's the threshold.
Yeah.
He's past the threshold,
Yeah.
right? And it's sort of a sense of isolation. Yeah.
It's just like eerie and silent.
Bit of lighting from the clearing in the tree, and
Yeah, it's like backlit and front lit, and then like I think natural light from the moon probably. But the carriage rocks up and like the horse is like,
and the door opens it's like, bro, go away. Yeah, you shouldn't have come here in the first place, but don't step into the carriage.
and then like his whole like march into the castle is fucking brilliant and beautiful. I watched the first Nosferatu last night and I was surprised how many beats were like exactly the same.
Sure.
Like it is the exact same movie. Like even like there are similar shots and like approaching the castle and shit. There's a moment like at the beginning, just seemed like a little moment, but he gives her the flowers and she's like, these are dead.
No.
That was in the original 1922 one. So yeah, like the march in the castle was fucking brilliant and beautiful. And so Nosferatu came out in 1922. It was like a German expressionistic film.
Expressionist.
Yeah, let's roll with that. And for its time, it was like the best movie made. It's like highly regarded as one of the most impactful films of all time. And what it was basically just Bram Stoker's Dracula. It was inspired by that, and like they changed the names and stuff. And actually, the wife of Bram Stoker like sued them, and they had to like pay her money, but then the company went broke and they didn't have any money, so like tried to destroy all the copies of fucking Nosferatu.
What now? Bram Stoker's Dracula, I believe, was translated from a separate story, and it was something like this. There's something involving the original like Dracula sort of story. And the translation was all, they got somebody who like didn't speak fucking German or something to translate it.
Nosferatu
totally
is like the word Nosferatu is a translation error. I know that. He wrote down like Romanian folklore Nosferatu, meaning thy that is dead, the devil breather or whatever. But it wasn't Nosferatu. He like read the word. There's so many shit like that. Like Cinderella, her slippers weren't glass, so were made out of like silk. Like the guy, whoever, at some point.
The random guy that
he
they
thought,
got.
Glass slippers. Fuck it.
That sounds about right.
That makes perfect sense. And then it just fucking stopped.
That's what it is. Yeah, that's what it is. It says it right there. Look, it says glass slippers.
So the film for its time was fucking amazing. It's a German film and kind of brings a little darkness to it. It's pretty much like an allegory for like anti-Semitism in Germany. Nosferatu himself has a big old nose, and there's a lot of stuff going on. Plague rats and the idea of rats, that's been tied into anti-Semitism for fucking hundreds of years. Germany was in a rough space in the 20s, and it didn't get better in the 30s or 40s.
It's at a rough part. It was in a dark place.
Werner Herzog actually made Nosferatu again in 1979, and he was talking about like German filmmakers being completely fatherless because during the war, either they were killed in the Holocaust, they fled the country, or they became like propagandists and were making the propaganda for the Nazis. So he's like, the only film as Germans that we still have that we can look back on is Nosferatu. Other than that, like our industry was just like completely decimated.
Amazing. Art imitates life. something.
Yes. Sure. Oh, so yeah, Bill Skarsgård, he plays Nosferatu here. This family, Alexander Skarsgård was I am Eowyn the Werewolf in The Northman. Gustav Skarsgård's their brother, he's Floki in Vikings.
I did not know that.
Stellan Skarsgård's their dad, he's
God
Vladimir
damn.
Harkonnen and also Chernobyl. So there's like 4 brothers and then the dad. And yeah, his performance, I haven't seen him in a lot of things, but it's like completely transformative. Like it's not him at all. I've seen him in one other movie, Barbarian, which was okay, whatever. But yeah, like he studied with like a vocal coach to drop his voice an octave. His voice is all completely natural in this. It's not treated or edited or anything.
Really?
Yeah, this just is his vocal performance. He learnt like Mongolian throat singing.
Yeah,
just,
to get the crunch.
Yeah. Well, like, and just to drop it like an octave, and then like everything goes prosthetics.
I love the accent. It sort of reminded me because I believe like Vlad the Impaler sort of ties into this whole thing.
Well, he's like where the origins of the empires come
and
from.
sort of it was sort of like that. I mean, Transylvania is. Wherever the fuck Transylvania is.
It's in Romania.
Yeah, Romania, right? And so it's all sort of it gives a sense of being genuine. I thought it definitely wasn't what I expected their depiction of the vampire to be, right? But it was good. It's sort of, and again, it's this thing, right, where we're looking back in the past. We're sort of skipping out vampires as they've been in the last like 20, 30 years. We're skipping back over that and going back, right?
It's like 100 years.
And it's like you know, it's more that they're the Walking Dead sort of thing, right? Yeah, they're the rotting corpse come back to life.
And then they became pretty and beautiful at some point.
You know, we've brung back sort of the occult element to it. You know, they sold their soul to the devil for life, real life, and all that sort of stuff, and that plays into like the psychedelic elements, you know, and being able to invade people's dreams, command them what to do, and influence over people, like a dark influence. It's all sort of. It's a lot more complex and comprehensive than a sort of, what would you say?
It's like woven in with like deep folklore. Edgar's is like obsessed with history and folklore and all those creepy tales. I remember watching like the commentary for The Northman, thinking he was going to talk about filmmaking, but instead he was like, that brooch there, that was dug up in like 1872, and we believe it was traced back to like 12 AD, and it was found in this grave, and then this thing on the table. It was all like the pillars and like all the costumes, like he's all in on all of that. So yeah, like all these little elements here, it's like, it's not pulling from like, some of it's pulling from modern movies,
Sure.
but a lot of it's pulling from like folklore.
Well, it's like they're fucking Thomas and his mate are drinking, you know, just as he's about to leave. They're in their house drinking. And the mate has like a glass, right? Very fancy glass, and it's got like the little sigil on it. And that's like, they had that shit, right? The aristocracy had, you know, this sort of incredibly like complex stuff. You know, just they could have just had glassware.
But
they didn't.
Specific sigil.
It was very. It's like so many little details like that just blow you away, you know.
And it's like incredibly historically accurate as well. Like I know The Northman, like he just went to like so many lengths just to get like that movie like as historically accurate as he possibly fucking could. I'm sure he did. This is similar for this. That's like one of his main driving like forces is like history.
Trying to put history on the screen.
It just like it sets you in a different environment too, like it being in that realm and that time. It's like so much like just world building and depth to it.
Well, this is what I mean, right? Yeah, there's so much thought put into, you know, even if it wasn't historically accurate. There's so much thought
just the
put
look of
into the sets and
the
everything.
Streets,
they're so fucking dense, and there's so much shit going on.
When the plague kicks in later on, there's like dogs eating horses and bodies burning and just people splayed out dead everywhere.
Some guy going, There are a few people like that in the movie.
Oh, that's fair. Oh, so yeah. Lily Rose Depp plays Ellen here, and she's like the main character, kind of. In the original, it was like Thomas who was the main character, but it's just kind of like a typical, like, archetypical hero's journey, I guess, for him. If he was the main character, you know, you go to the foreign place, you defeat the guy, but here, yeah, it's all her, and she ends up sacrificing herself at the end. It's all a ruse.
It's a love story.
It's a love triangle.
It's literally like a love,
Yeah.
like the fucking, not even the B plot, like
Yeah.
the two A plots.
Yeah.
And it's fucking a love story.
I like the depths they went to too with the sexuality and her like writhing and orgasming over this fucking rotting thing. Jordan Peterson talks about this, women's like fantasies with Monster. There's like so many stories like that, like Twilight and Beauty and the Beast and werewolves. Women are attracted to monsters, and maybe possibly because they want like a strong creature to protect their young. You don't want like a weak male figure if someone breaks into your house in the middle of the night to harm your children, you know? We think that like a good person isn't a monster, but really a good person can be a monster but has the monster under control. If someone comes into my house at night and I have kids and I'm incapable of being a monster, then that is like
What are you gonna do?
the most flawed I can be as a dad. You have to be a monster and then have that monster under control, and women like that.
That's
Just be a
beautiful.
monster.
That's beautiful. I'll put that in my Tinder bio. Okay?
There's a whole like slew of
You're
like,
mine now. We are neighbors.
we are now neighbors. It's funny, the first original one, 1922, he's literally like living across the street, and there's all these scenes like, they look over and he's just at the window like looking at him like a fucking monster. Oh, there he is right there.
You just close the curtain.
Oh, he's gone.
Honey, the weird man's fucking staring at us. Oh, don't mind him.
Oh, Willem Dafoe's here again, as always. He's starting to become like the equivalent of Samuel L. Jackson to Quentin Tarantino here for Robert Eggers. Once again, like a career standout performance. Nothing's going to beat The Lighthouse as a film, I think, or Willem Dafoe's performance in The Lighthouse. But once again, here he's fucking brilliant and amazing. Essentially Van Helsing. But the name has just changed.
Yeah.
Just when they made Nosferatu, they just like took Van Helsing's name and just changed it. It was a great like theatrical moment at the end where he's like ranting and raving.
Yeah, setting fire to the fucking coffin.
Or like the other guy from The Witch is here, Ralph Neeson. He plays Wilhelm, like that main guy. There's a scene where like he comes in and he pats Willem Dafoe and he's like covered in fucking dust. And he's smoking his pipe and just trying to tell everyone what's happening, and they're like, "What are you talking about?"
I love that actor. He's fucking.
His voice is great.
Yeah, well, that's
So
one of his
deep,
defining
girthy.
features. Yeah, it gives it a really interesting quality.
It's amazing, like how much of an advantage you have in life just if you have like a voice of that power. Like you say something in that voice and people are like, yeah. But if you say it like this, they're like, shut the fuck up.
Yeah, get away from me. You're not a monster.
That's fair. I remember Red Letter Media talking about the prequel movies. We're never going to get over the fucking...
That comes around all the
the
time.
Plinkett reviews. They changed my life. Thank you, Stephen.
You're so welcome.
But yeah, they were talking about the prequels, right? And they're talking about Corazon and the war, and it rages on, and shit's getting worse. And then they're saying, like, you look at Corazon, and it's fucking, like, beautiful
Yeah, it's
and fine,
fine,
and nothing's fucking happening. And, like, if you just had, like, you know...
Less
the streets
cars.
falling apart, and, like, you know, shit on the streets, and... Yeah, he gets on the boat. I mean, you could talk about every fucking scene in this movie and how fucking great it was and how intense it was. But yeah, he gets on the boat and everyone's like vomiting blood and he's murdering people. And then he gets on the shore and all the rats come out.
Yeah.
A lot of the rats are real. I think very few are CGI. And then just like the plague intensifies everything and it just starts fucking escalating and escalating. There's this great sex scene between the two characters where like the build up and the acting to that moment is fucking great. She like admits that well, not even admits, like she just, I guess she was hiding it from him, right? Her and Nosferatu had a pact. You see it right at the beginning, and then he's like, he's coming for you, he has your locket and all, and she's like, yeah, I know.
Yeah, it's happening.
I dream of him every night, and then she's like, you've never satisfied me, and he does.
Yeah, man, there's sex cucks in hell.
He just starts like fucking smashing her, and then the camera like pans like up her, and then like over her head, and it's like, there was a shot of the guy that goes crazy as well, where like he was on the floor, and then like the camera was panning this way, but then it like flipped, so he's still laying down,
but his head's like proper.
Yeah. So yeah, she's getting like railed, and like then the camera pans up, and then like flips, so her head's like the right way around.
And then it goes.
Jump scares, he sees all blood, he jumps off, she's still like writhing and orgasming, which is fucking great. Getting fucked by a fucking rotting fucking Transylvanian nobleman.
I thought it was interesting, you know, again, romance being such a large part of this movie, like in a weird way.
It's a love triangle.
There's
It's a sexy love triangle. Take your wife to see this.
Mummy, is this what love is like? I think the thing is that how sexuality was sort of intertwined with like the fitting when they start like fitting and seizing and stuff like that.
Yeah,
and it was sort of it was melded together, right? It's an implicit part of what's happening, which is really weird.
It's like violent but sexual at the same time. She's writhing in agony, but like her body movements and like her pelvic thrusts,
Moaning and
it's all very sexual.
When he like bites him, like even Thomas, he was like, oh.
The scene where he's on top of him, like just sucking on him. Not in the neck too, by the way.
Yeah, which is, I don't know whether that was like an intentional decision or not.
Yeah, I don't know if that is maybe like an old school thing, and then at some point it got changed to the neck, so he's going back to what it originally was.
Yeah, well, I think it's interesting if you think about it. If it had been the neck, right? Again, the sort of like Twilight era, or even Underworld and things like that. It's sort of sexual.
Yeah,
right? It comes across, and I think that's portrayed, sort of wormed its way into modern media.
Yeah,
I don't know whether that's like conscious decision to get rid of that and to bring him back to being a monster.
Yeah, that's fair. So like Thomas's mate, what is his name? He's like kind of poor, and then his mate's the richer one. He owns like shipyards and stuff. Oh, it doesn't look like I wrote his name down.
He's gone.
I wrote everyone's fucking name down.
He died.
Bill Skarsgård, Nicole, Lily Westep, Ralph Neeson. Yeah.
Billy.
I wrote everyone's name down
Billy.
but him. Thomas's mate, right? He's not accepting of Nosferatu or the idea of fucking...
I don't blame him.
Any of this, You mean allegorically a demon? No, literally a demon. You're mad.
What the fuck is this? What are you saying to me right now? Listen to yourself.
Oh, so he's there and he's denying this thing. Nosferatu gives Ellen like 3 days, which is a great ticking clock element. Comes back on the second day and fucking murders the kids, which I fucking loved.
Yeah.
Just throws to the ground. It just it didn't go further than I thought, or maybe it did, but it went like far enough, which is like slightly. You're uncomfortable, right?
Sure.
And like a little bit shocked. You're a little bit shocked at like how far shit escalates. So he murders the children. There's this great scene where like they're bringing the coffins out, and his performance, he's like furious at Willem Dafoe's character, but then like sad. So he's like angry and screaming, but then like breaking down and crying. And, like his eyes are like genuinely red.
Yeah, he's experiencing something. He's having a moment.
He's gone through some stuff. He ends up getting the plague and just like crawling into his wife's casket who was pregnant. On top of everything else. And then, yeah, Nosferatu, for all its horrible racism, the original one, not this one. This one's good.
Robert Eggers is a massive racist? Oh my god!
No. Yeah, in Dracula by Bram Stoker, they just like staked him at the end, and Nosferatu was the first ever thing that did light kills vampires, which has become like the tried and tested trope. And yeah, at the end, they just open the window and they just kind of use a fade on the 22 one. 1922, it just fades away. But yeah, so I thought like that was a really like integral element of vampires that Nosferatu introduced. And then in this, Willem Dafoe's aware of all this, and so he like helps them go to the castle and stuff, and then she's gonna seduce him.
Yeah.
She pulls him in. She sacrifices herself, like that.
Yeah, he gives Thomas the stuff like basically a red herring. They do need to go and get rid of the coffin with the dirt in it.
Yes.
But it's basically a red herring to allow.
He's like trying to make them burn more time.
Yeah.
At one point, they're like, "Where's old mate? We need to reset and just do it next time." And he's like, "No, we got this." So he comes through the window. And just starts sucking at her blood. The light comes in. He's like looking up, and she like slowly pulls him in. And even that was like kind of romantic.
It's funny. Again, it's like it's almost anticlimactic, but that's not the point. The point is that it wasn't like the MacGuffin. The sunlight was not the MacGuffin, though it kind of was. Right, it takes a back seat to the resolution between the two characters.
Yeah.
Right. The as he described as it described itself. It's not a person. It's an appetite.
Yeah.
Right. And so that's what it is. It's kind of anticlimactic. She fulfills the thing where the sunlight goes on and dies, but it's not like a. He just sort of.
It's rather like for a very loud and intense movie. Did you think it was too loud and intense?
No, I thought the sound design in horror is so important. Right? It's like the steel gates, dragging across the ground,
atmosphere.
The chains and the horses' hooves. They can be a little bit louder than they normally would because that's the thing that builds the tension, right? You're using all the elements of cinema.
Yeah.
That's what's so important. You can have the sort of and then and all that fucking shit.
Yeah.
But it's like if the world itself should be putting you on edge.
Yeah.
You should be on edge as you're ascending the castle stairs, and his footsteps, and his like booming voice, and the sort of the fireplace. And the you can hear like the wind howling outside.
Yeah.
And
Just little things.
Yeah, and you just you accentuate all those elements, and you push them up a little bit more. The dog's barking, and then and that way then you can have silence, and you can have it be like a contrast. Right?
So for a movie that had like, I feel like there were some moments where there were 7 or 8 intense, crazy scenes, just one after the other, and I'm sitting there going, "Oh my fucking god, this is crazy." For a movie that is fucking crazy and intense, a very like slow, quiet, subdued, romantic, noble sacrifice. She just like gives herself up to the monster and stops the plague and just like melts, and Willem Dafoe just throws flowers on her. And then you see like his weird gross skeleton body like
shriveled
melting and on her like beautiful angelic fucking body.
Yeah, it's a different way to present a horror movie, right? And it's kind of like The Witch as well, right?
Yeah.
It's like the in a normal horror movie, the protagonist or whoever dies, or they live, or the monster dies, or whatever, and it's really loud and sudden. And then there's like a resolution with one character remaining.
Yeah.
Right, and it's sort of to bring it all to a close. But the close, there was not that moment, it just was a close.
Yeah.
Which is an interesting way to do it, and it sort of reinforces the fact that the rest of the movie should be horrifying.
Yeah.
It's not necessary, you don't always have to have a staircase of escalation in a horror movie where it's getting more and more and more and more intense, and it's building and it's building and it's going and it's going, and then it crescendos. You know, it kind of did, but it kind of didn't. Because it's a different. It had a different feeling to it, you know, a romance, as you say, and different themes, you know, so.
This movie was like, the budget's like $50 million.
That's very impressive.
Yeah, and they shot it in 3 months. I think the budget for The Lighthouse is like $10 million. I'll ding it up here. And then the budget for Wakanda Forever is like 400 million or maybe 600 million.
It looks like
that up here.
hot garbage.
It looks like vomit. And The Lighthouse is the greatest piece of artwork ever conceived by mankind in the history of humanity.
It's so, you know, it's funny. They used, I'm pretty sure they used quite a bit of CGI in this. Right? Like, again, on the crossroads, the fog at the end, almost certain that's fucking CGI.
Yeah, you might be right.
But it doesn't matter.
Yeah, it's how you blend it in and how you use it.
It's the same old fucking story, right? You use like all your filters and you use, you know, it's like a 300, which I personally really love.
That's fair.
Right? It's you take what's on that, you take your raw film and then you start like stretching it and
well,
doing
you think
things
of like
with it.
a toolbox and CGI is a tool amongst 100 tools. It's not the only tool. You don't use it for everything. You use it when like you have rats in the foreground, but then you want more rats in the background.
Or your characters have to step around. They're not going to step around live rats that are like owned by somebody and trained.
And when they're in the background, you can't fucking tell. And when CGI rats are there, you're like, oh, that's CGI rats.
It's like you go through the sort of what might be the decision-making process of the film, and you go, okay, well, does the monster need to be CGI? No. Right, because they're not doing anything. Like, intense.
It's just,
They're not chasing somebody down the fucking street, going, right, you know, running up the buildings and doing all this shit. It's a guy. Right, and it's fucking, that's the horror, you can achieve that with a nice practical suit or makeup or whatever. And that's good. You don't have to spend, you know, $30 million on that.
It's the performance.
It's the character.
We are now neighbors.
Never speak of it again. Do not speak of it. You will crave nothing from me. Amazing.
Oh, shout out to Jaron Blansky, the cinematographer. Who was also the cinematographer on The Witch and The Lighthouse and The Northman.
He's got his guy.
And a lot of this movie is the look. I've seen in an interview, Robert Eggers was talking about him and like how brash and like upfront he is with him. Robert will be like, oh, you know, maybe we'll have it over there. He's like, oh yeah, if you want it to look like a fucking commercial from the 70s. What the fuck are you talking about? And he's just like, yeah. A lot of this film is him, and like Robert Eggers gets all the credit, and Willem Dafoe.
Yeah, I know, that's like, shameful.
And he doesn't, but fucking, I don't know how much of this movie is him, like the atmosphere. 20%, 15%, 10%, I don't know. A big chunk of the movie is because of his specific talent.
How to light a scene. How to not light a scene.
If it's lit this way, you feel tension and suspense. If it's lit this way, you don't.
Well, again, it's... the thing, you know, and I've come to appreciate more and more cinema in my later years as I approach death.
Yes, I agree. Old man slow movies. I watched 1922. I watched it on YouTube, right? And I didn't realise YouTube has like a whole section of movies you can buy, but it also has like a bunch of old movies that are just public domain that aren't like uploaded by some Joe Blow. It's like official YouTube.
Oh, I did not know that.
But I don't have YouTube Premium because of fuck that. I'm not paying for YouTube ever. So it's a silent film, but then it has ads in it. So you're like watching a silent film, and then it's like KFC. Which
I don't care. I love it.
In a silent fucking movie.
you imagine the fucking whiplash from people back in 1922. I love you. I don't care. I love it.
So yeah, in conclusion, I remember when The Witch came out, and I was like, wow, that is a really fucking good horror movie, and still remains like one of my favorite. I don't even really like horror.
I fucking love horror.
That's fair. Like, obviously when like art gets to a certain echelon of quality, it is that quality. It doesn't matter if it's a funk song or a metal song or a classical song. A good song is a good song. Like The Thing and The Shining are like brilliant pieces of artwork. But me personally, I'm not really a horror guy. But like Robert Eggers is in my top 5. The Witch was amazing. The Lighthouse came out and just fucking melted Jasper and I's mind.
That's a horror movie.
I'll cut in a clip from Jasper and I losing our minds here.
Literally, the credits have just finished, okay? That's where I'm at right now.
Jasper's just sat down and watched
this far into a bottle of scotch, and the credits have just finished. So that's where I'm at. I haven't even processed this yet.
I watched the film for the 3rd time, 3 nights in a row. Done
Jesus fucking Christ.
an extreme amount of research and watched a lot of YouTube videos about this.
That was a fucking movie, man.
You've just said
that was a fucking movie.
How good was it? Was it not amazing? So yeah, I think then The Northman, which was a bomb and is probably like down the bottom of the list, even though it's brilliant and amazing. In conclusion, I mean, it's brilliant, it's beautiful, the lighting, the naturalistic lighting, like the focus. With the focus as well too, it wasn't so much always that only one thing's in focus. There were times where like it'd be on a character and then it would go in and out of focus, which our eyes do naturalistic as well.
There's a couple of movies that are like that, where it's like you'll have a character talking where they've stepped away from another character and talking, and then it will refocus back to the one.
Oh, but there'd be like a shot where it was like on a guy, and just within that shot, it would like go out of focus for a second, like back in. Costumes, sets, dialogue, the acting, the atmosphere, the world building, Willem Dafoe, Nosferatu. I mean, everything. Do you have any criticisms? Yeah,
I do. I think that I talked about how it doesn't necessarily. You don't necessarily have to have like the sort of crescendo at the end of a horror movie, and it doesn't have to be sort of like extra tense. But I feel like it lost some tension. Sort of, it's a long movie, right? 2 hours something, not that long, but still. And it's sort of, for me, it kind of maybe overstated its welcome a little bit. It sort of meandered a little bit, you know, where we're having the characters like talk to each other. The 2 women are like they're talking about their friendship and all that sort of stuff. That's within the ticking clock, and I don't know that element was emphasised enough. You know, the rush to the grave, the cemetery and things like that. I don't know whether that was like. Those moments could have done maybe with a little bit more sort of hurried tension. Those sort of things maybe it could have been condensed a little bit more.
That's fair.
Yeah, but those would be the only criticisms. Would probably be pacing.
Yeah. I think when it's such a wild and intense ride, and we talked about this with Alien Romulus as well, which was a fucking piece of shit. Not saying that these movies are anything alike.
No, don't compare these.
But when it is like so crazy and like just scene after scene of holy fuck, that can like take a toll on you too and like make you tired.
It's a hard balance.
Yeah.
And so this was a movie trying to do its own thing, obviously, and so I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Right. It's just that would be. I did think that at certain points during the movie, sort of what are we doing?
Yeah.
You know.
That's fair. Yeah, I will look forward to Robert Eggers' next film once again.
Absolutely.
It'll be a period piece, and I'm sure it'll be amazing. I love film and I love cinema, and this guy just kind of emerged kind of out of nowhere, and
they keep giving him money to do these crazy movies, and I'm down, I'm here. Yeah.
This is, I think it's made like 60 mil back at the box office, and it cost 50 mil, but it's only just been released.
Yeah, like a couple of days ago.
Yeah, The Northman was a big fucking bomb, but that was released like during COVID. But I think that people are aware enough now, certainly, if not like back when the fucking Lighthouse came out, that the guy is talented, and if there isn't an audience for him at the cinema because people are dumb dogs watching Sonic 3
What are you gonna
or Paddington in Peru, then you still need to let him do his
You
fucking
have to
thing.
do it, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm glad they are letting him do
He
it.
can't be resigned to making fucking Netflix films. He can't be resigned to making Avengers fucking whatever. Secret Wars.
Lord of the Rings, fucking
The
something.
anime. We need to make another movie because
To
we're
keep
gonna
the
lose
IP.
copyright. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm happy. I was excited to return to form for vampires, right?
Yeah.
To experience. I don't have that much experience with the old school sort of Bram Stoker or like the original Dracula or any of that sort of stuff. But I've been exposed to vampires a lot, and I know about that, and I was excited for that. I went in, it absolutely succeeded in my expectations.
That's it.
I was happy.
A fine piece of artwork.
Fine piece of cinema.
In all its facets.
Yeah. Yay! We clapped. We were the only ones who
We clapped at the end. Grandma was like, "What the fuck was that?"
I stood up and clapped. Huh?
Grandma was like, "That was calm."
Darth Vader was there and I clapped.
80s. Thank you and good night.